And it's time for the Great British Debate this hour. And I'm asking, was Liz Truss's vision the right one? Now, the 6th of September marks a year since Liz Truss took over for her very short stint as Prime Minister. And whilst many found her vision and ideology questionable, others felt that it held some sort of viability and potential value. So for the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, was she right? I'm joined now by Ben Habib, the advisor for Reform UK, and also Denis MacShane, former Labour Minister for Europe, and Belinda, former Brexit Party MEP. Former MEP for the Brexit Party. Right, so let's start with Denis MacShane, seeing as he's in here. OK, so talk to me about Liz Truss. She had some ideas. I mean, was she on the right track?
I was quite impressed because, frankly, somebody on the left, the idea of borrowing money to grow the economy makes complete sense. We should have borrowed money after 2010 when interest rates were at zero. We didn't because Cameron and that other guy, what's he called, Clegg,
Mr. Facebook.
Gave all the money to friends in tax breaks. So when this came along, put her boyfriend Kwasi Kwarteng in charge.
It's not her boyfriend. Hold on a minute. You don't have the evidence for that. What are you talking about?
Well,
boyfriend.
the language is, I don't
Come on, Denis.
And ex.
It's not her ex-boyfriend. You don't know that.
All right, don't change the subject now.
Well, you did it, not me.
And she put forward some ideas, but then the actual implementation of them was just nuts. She was telling the entire world Britain is going to spend and cut taxes, and you, the rest of the world, will have to pay for all of this. And so the rest of the world said, sorry, you're one of the most indebted countries in the world. We're not going to do it. Who advised her? I mean, she's not an economist. She's a chartered accountant.
Well, John Redwood did speak to her as well, but apparently she didn't do what he asked because he was on earlier. But Ben Habib, I mean, Liz Truss, I think she was slightly on the right track. And her vision was growth, wasn't it, rather than this stifling situation we find ourselves in where we're being taxed to death.
Well, I got to say, you got to love Denis MacShane. Denis, you're just a delight to listen to. You started by saying, if you don't mind me, just picking up on what you said. I'm not going to be kind now, I'm afraid. You said that we should have borrowed to grow, but actually, all the Conservative government has done over the last 13 years is borrow. When they took over the economy, national debt was around 60% of GDP. It now exceeds 100% of GDP. We have the highest tax rates that we've had since World War II. This can only happen if you borrow, tax and spend. That's what they've done. And like all governments, what they've done is wasted the money. And we haven't got growth out of it. The only way you grow the economy is if the private sector grows. That is the engine for the economy, which the government can then tax and use the tax, hopefully, prudently, in order to deliver public services. The government cannot be the engine for economic growth. Only the private sector can drive that. And what we desperately need now is to become a competitive United Kingdom. We're over-regulated, overtaxed, and as you rightly pointed out, our government debt is way too high. What Liz rightly recognised was that the only way out of this is not by cutting debt, but it's by growing the economy. If you grow the economy, debt as a proportion of the economy automatically shrinks. And you can only grow it if you cut taxes on business, you deregulate, and you promote the private sector. It's actually a no-brainer. And I'm surprised that there's anyone in the country who disagrees with Liz Truss.
Well, let's see if Belinda does. Do you disagree with Liz Truss?
Well, look, at least Liz Truss had a vision for growth. That's what we're lacking at the moment. This country's crying out for a captain to guide this ship into better waters instead of just stagnating in a puddle like we seem to be doing now. There was lots I liked about her mini budget. Her freezing corporation tax was the right thing. Her decreasing the top income rate tax was the right thing to do. She should have done it more staggered, and she should have played the game better. One of her big mistakes was underestimating the landmines that were going to be placed around her as soon as she got into position, and she underestimated the forces at work that were going to try and undermine her, discredit her, when actually the country is crying out for a growth plan. We had AstraZeneca, a Cambridge-based company that was going to build a plant in the northwest, moved to Ireland because corporation tax was 15%. And they said it was because of this discouraging taxes that, you know, the Hunt Rishi team had put in place. We need investment. We need competition. We're now, it's funny, we're told that sensibles and grown-ups are back in the room. What we have now, Nana, is a crush of bespeckled grey-suited technocrats scared of their own shadow and not prepared to make the bold decisions to ignite the workforce of this country back into work, building businesses, attracting investment. That's what we needed. And Liz Truss was right on that. And I think she'll be proved right in the future. So the civil service have far too much power at the moment.
I think they do. I think she's also right about childcare, because she was going to help people get back to work. And this has just been abandoned by the likes of Rishi Sunak, whose wife happens to have some shares in that company, Koru Kids or whatever it is. And some policy may have helped her out, but obviously, I don't think he did it on purpose. Denis MacShane, you were shaking your head a bit there as Belinda was talking.
Not really. I don't know why I'm on, because you've got these two right-wingers, two conservatives, sort of rubbishing Rishi, rubbishing Liz Truss. I mean, I completely go, let's have more of them, get them more angry.
No, Belinda didn't rubbish her.
Don't forget, though, every person with a mortgage, and I expect you've got a lot of GB News viewers who had mortgage, woke up after a couple of days of Liz Truss and the bottom fell out of their life.
You can't blame that. No,
irresponsible.
No, you can't blame that on Liz Truss.
In the way
the mortgage
she
interest rates have been
in the way,
zero for too long.
No other country faced that sudden surge. Now that's a problem for Liz Truss. She did qualify as a chartered accountant after Oxford, but you know something about chartered accountants? I've got one.
They're boring.
I love them.
They're boring.
Not if they're boring. I don't think they actually understand how economics work.
Who did you say in your family is a chartered accountant?
No, I don't.
She doesn't understand how things work. She won't like that.
We actually now have got, as Lord Ashcroft said, another Tory, broken Britain.
Well, OK,
listen,
I'm going to have to stop it there, Denis. I want a quick word from Ben Habib. You've got about 20 seconds, and then Belinda and Lucy.
Yeah,
go
so
the news.
If Liz Truss had cut taxes, even if interest rates had gone up, we would have had more money in our pockets to spend. It would have made up for the interest rate rises. What we desperately need is a promotion of the economy. You can only do that with lower taxes. You need the British people to decide how they're going to spend their pounds. Controlling inflation, by the way, is not the government's job. Controlling inflation famously belongs, that responsibility belongs to the Bank of England, not the government. The government has to propel the economy forward.
OK, Belinda and Lucy, 20 seconds to you.
But Liz Truss described herself as a disruptor wanting to challenge the institutional groupthink that has stunted growth over years. And unfortunately, she was disposed of and we're back to that groupthink. I think this country deserves better, and lowering taxes brings in more money and jobs. That's what Belinda, we need.
So in a word, was she right, Liz Truss, yes or no? Was she right? Overall?
Her vision was right, but she was too into spending and borrowing without enough cuts in public spending.
But Ben Habib, was her vision right? Yes or no? Was it right?
Her vision was right, and I'd slightly disagree with Belinda. I think she could have got away without cutting spending, because actually the OBR was forecasting.
And then Denis MacShane.
Very simply, she did incredible damage to the Conservative Party, so her vision was right. I'm all for it.
I get it. All right, thank you so much. Really good to talk to you all. Belinda Delusive, former Brexit MEP, Ben Habib, and also Denis MacShane. Thank you so much for joining me.